I think the Web3 component that is different from the Web2 component is some way to gamify the experience. So you can't just like one to one sell a product like you would in Web2. You have to create some kind of interesting gamification and system in place, and kind of economics and tokenomics, if you will, um, to make it kind of a fun experience and allow people to like kind of choose their own adventure in this collecting experience.
I think that's what I the first piece that I interacted with of the brand was that trailer, and I was like, the production quality, of this is so much higher than everything else I've seen. I think I would say only Yuga Labs has really kind of hit that same level of quality, but they've only done it a year later, backed by millions of dollars from successful projects. I think in the beginning, everything was quite held together loosely, but you've put so much intention into this brand and the feeling of it and the world and the character and all that stuff, and you've brought it together. Can you talk about your process of distilling this? Was it organic? And I know you worked on it over a decade, but how did you get to something that feels so singular and so clear when you look at it, now on the outside?
My pursuit has always been like, what is your personal expression? What is your voice? And to me, that always happened when I would draw things on paper, because you can't help it. It's like it's coming directly from your brain into your hand. And so everything in Huxley was designed in this way. A lot of entertainment now, it kind of blends together. And I don't know, the last 10 movies I've seen have all been something to do with the multiverse. And it's like, I kind of don't even know what the difference in the last 10 movies I've watched are. It's like everything's a multiverse now, everything's a this. And I'm like, okay, we've seen that. Like, where's the unique, pure expression and new thing? I'm always chasing that. So instead of sitting around using that energy to like go online and talk about things I don't like, I'd rather analyze why I don't like it. And well, what's the better solution? I'm going to make something that I think is cool, that solves those problems or does the thing that I want to see. And I
Mm.
feel like that's a better use of all of our creative energy as artists. And especially if we have the experience to create those things, I think it's our duty to proactively create those things that we want to see instead of just sitting around all day talking about what we don't like. I'd rather all of us create things that we
Mm.
do like and want to see.
I think that comes back to what you were talking about earlier, is that you started something that was yours, that you wanted to be the controller of, because I think so much in sort of traditional media, there's other people that have to be involved in approving or assigning or spending budgets. And I think that's one of the things that's so exciting about Web3 and what the technology enables is it allows people to just directly connect with an audience. They don't need layers of other complexity in between. And I think that is unique and amazing. And I don't think it'll always be like this. I think as the space fills up, it's going to be more difficult to do that. But I think at least at its essence, it allows that sort of thing to grow and to happen quite
Yeah, and I
quickly.
think that was also a reason to do it this way. Like I had some people ask like, why didn't you just make a movie to start with? And I was like, well, the logic is, that would be amazing, of course, but that usually takes millions of dollars and 30 to sometimes thousands of people, and that's a huge endeavor. And a graphic novel and things like this are still one of the few ways a single creator can create the entire product, which is very difficult to do. I mean, obviously most people will have like a writer partner and all these other like colorist and penciler and like 20 people to make the comic, but you can still do it yourself. That's also what kind of what really excited me about all the Web3 and NFT stuff that was happening. Was I was getting to the end of finishing the graphic novel, and I wanted to turn it into a film and other things. So I anticipated the meetings I would have where, you go to a meeting and they're just like, cool art kid, but what does this look like as a movie? And so I wanted to eliminate
Mm.
that doubt in the room. And, I spent a year before. I was guessing I'd be finished with the graphic novel around a certain day. So a year before that, I adapted it into a cinematic trailer with my friend and director Sava Zakovic and a really small team, and we released that a few months ago. It's done kind of gone viral and done really well, and but I just kind of want to hit both of these fronts, and the original plan was just to like, oh, go to like Dark Horse or some big publisher, and those are kind of the only avenues available to us at the time to like get our idea and book out there. And once NFTs and Web3 happened, it was just like, well, maybe this is a more interesting way to launch a product in 2021 and more current and interesting. And just kind of went for it. And a bigger part of that too was I could still retain all my rights and everything. Whereas had I gone to like a big company, they would try to take as much of that as possible. And maybe I wouldn't be able to do all the things I want to do with my project and IP in the future. I think the Web3 component that is different from the Web2 component is some way to gamify the experience. So you can't just like one-to-one sell a product like you would in Web2. You have to create some kind of interesting gamification and system in place, and kind of economics and tokenomics, if you will, to make it kind of a fun experience and allow people to like kind of choose their own adventure in this collecting experience. Like some people just want comics and that's cool. Some people want avatars, and I just want to make sure I'm offering these different paths for things that people are interested in. So yeah, a lot of it is just like, okay, well, let's make a deflationary mechanism that cuts down comics. So if people want avatars, it makes the comics more rare, and it kind of just creates this push and pull of depending on what people want, right? So even I don't know where this is all going to end up. So it's just gonna be interesting to see. Like, right, maybe there's only gonna be 1,000 comics left by the end. I don't know. Like, who knows? But makes it fun for me too, because I really have no idea where it will end up by the end.
You know, I'm interested in Web3 because I see it as the biggest change in ownership that's happened in my lifetime. It's this shift from, digital things being almost throwaway, valueless items that you can exponentially create to something going like, here is a thing, a real tangible thing. It happens to be digital and you can own it. And I think that's so powerful. Can you talk about the kind of rights and the IP and how you structured your project? Because you're obviously selling these things to people, and they are purchasing into the dream of Huxley, and you're now using that money to build the kind of brand and the product and the roadmap of it. How did you think about your rights and the IP when you went into this and structure
Yeah,
that?
so all the rights are on chain, or the contract and everything's on chain. But it's basically limited merchandising rights for holders to create like t-shirts and things like this that they want to do. And but the core IP needs to be owned by the company because it's something that already exists. And it's like I kind of view it like Star Wars or something, where like if I owned the Mandalorian, if I owned limited merchandising rights on the Mandalorian armor, and then the Mandalorian came out, that's pretty amazing. That would be pretty damn cool. But I just can't allow
Mm.
someone to own the Mandalorian because I already designed it, right? Um, so it's kind of along this kind of thinking, I guess.
What's exciting for me about this, and I think the lesson here for brands and companies, is there's an opportunity to include people, and make them co-owners in a thing, and therefore you've got fans for life because they've bought in and they're super excited about it. But you can still keep the pieces that are important to you, and that might be different depending on the project. So you know that you've got a comic, and maybe there's another comic coming, and there's a movie, and there's a whole bunch of other things. So I need control over this
Sure.
piece so that I can roll out my vision, and I'm happy for other people to. Huxley is now in theory competing against any other sort of sci-fi fantasy genre out there. So how do you become bigger than, I don't know, 2000 AD? How do you kind of get more popular? You get people out there singing your praises, making products, being excited about it, is how the hype of it sort of grows. So it becomes a a win-win for the fans and the creator like yourself.
It's like a child or like a plant or a seed or something. Like you have to nurture. I don't know. We're gonna get into like gardening or something, but like if you've ever grown plants or something, like if you neglect it and like don't take care of it, it just dies. You know, you have to like water it and nurture it and make sure it gets enough sun and continually help this thing grow into the tree that it can become. You know.
Hello YouTube, I'm Ross Drakes, I'm the founder of Nicework, and thank you so much for your time at watching this video. If you're seeing me, it means you made it all the way to the end, so we've at least done something right. If you enjoyed this, we'd love it if you could hit that subscribe button and that thumbs up. It really helps the channel. And I think more important than that is if you know someone who might need to hear this, if you think someone out there who needs this message in their life, please spread the link, because it makes a huge difference to the world, and it allows us to fulfill our message of making sure that there are no more bad brands in the world. Thank you very much, and we'll catch you in the next video.